Small conference.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in to MOCHA Talk and Caffeine Dreams. I am Ashley Finley, the host, and I'm here today with the lovely Rachel Jensen, who is just an all-around Renaissance woman. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, man. Well, I do a lot of things. Primarily within the community. I am the director of Slut Walk SLC.
Awesome.
I have a really amazing day job. I've got some pretty off-the-wall hobbies. Yeah, I stay busy. I think that this is the product of millennial anxiety.
Right.
I just do a lot of things.
Yeah. That's such a good way to describe it, because I think that that's might be one of the reasons, because I can relate to that kind of need to constantly fill the schedule or fill your brain with stimulation. I don't know. But I really love, and excuse me because I'm kind of a nerd, so I really love that you said off the wall hobbies. And that made me think of the fact that you're an aerialist, because you're literally off the wall.
I am suspended 10 feet in the air, touching nothing but a solid metal hoop.
Wow. How did you get into that?
Well, I had some friends that were involved in it,
Okay.
and I think I jealous watched all of the Instagram videos they put up, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's not something normal people could ever do. And I went for it. And I thought that, okay, I'm going to keep this up for maybe a couple months, and see, maybe this will replace the gym, help me lose weight. And I became obsessed.
Yeah.
It definitely becomes an addiction.
It's so beautiful. Like the aerialists that I've seen, I'm just like, what are you? You ethereal being defying gravity up above my head. And I am one of those people who looks at those sorts of things and is like, I think I could learn this. And I definitely, as I walk away from the show, I'm like, I definitely cannot learn that. But have you performed with I don't know what you would call it, like a troupe or a group or?
Our studio does performances about every 8 weeks or so. So, I never miss a performance. I was born to be on stage. I performed at a couple of venues around town as well. There's not a lot of opportunities for kind of more amateur aerialists versus people that get booked for these huge crazy events. I'm not doing that. Okay. I don't know if I got it in me to do that. But yeah, you said that you don't think that normal people can that you don't think you could do it, but
not
honestly
me.
I want to say officially anybody can do it.
Really?
Yeah, so circus arts is so cool because it's just for every and anybody out there. It's such an amazing community too. There's so much love and acceptance, no matter your background or how you present yourself in any way. It's just such a cool, amazing group of people to be part of.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll have to hit you up and be like, Rachel, take me.
Oh, I will love to. You're welcome to anytime. The truth is, it looks like it's really scary, and I guarantee that, we know that while we're doing it. Yeah. It's still I am hanging here by a hope, a dream, and a prayer right now.
Right, because you're really... correct me if I'm wrong. It's just you and your strength, right? Up there, just keeping you from plummeting.
Well, yeah, you're not strapped in or anything.
Yeah.
You got to learn some sort of spatial awareness of this is the thing keeping me from the floor,
right?
And I just need to stay in this somehow,
right?
By hanging on to it in any way, shape, or form.
That's so amazing. Tell us a little bit else about what else you do. So you're a comedian, you're a writer. You have all of these amazing things going on.
I love that you think that they're amazing.
They are.
That's great. I am one of those people that decided to get a film degree in college,
Wow.
and that's just turned into a lot of writing jobs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
No, that is your future. Follow your passions and your dreams. Just be prepared for the gig economy. Yeah, I've written for Slug magazine. I dabbled. I had a few articles in City Weekly. I used to blog for like a tire company.
Wow.
That was a fun job. No,
Tires.
I'm shaking my head on a podcast. No, tires. It was exhilarating. Yeah, so I've got to like talk to people that I swear I never thought I'd have the chance to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
My first interview I ever did was Jane Lynch. And
What?
Yeah, I fangirled so hard the whole time.
Oh my God.
The nice thing about being a writer interviewing somebody than doing a podcast is all of my stuttering and awkward questions, they got edited out.
Right, exactly. I think, I love like what you said about follow your dreams, but also kind of be prepared for the gig economy, because it's just the reality, right? Like, I wonder how many of my peers end up like where they thought that they would be. I know that I'm not where I thought I was gonna be. I thought I was gonna be like some corporate like PR representative, and now I'm doing really fun things and talking to really like fun people like you. I was kind of like, I'll be honest with you, like I'm super excited obviously in your art and your writing and your sense of humor and your comedy, but I'm really like, I was kind of trying to tease the audience a little bit because you mentioned that you're the director of Slut Walk SLC. So I know what Slut Walk is because I'm just kind of in that like activism realm, but explain what Slut Walk SLC is to someone who might hear the name and be like, what is this?
A lot of people do that. A lot of, we're promoting our event right now, and so we've got a lot of back and forth from the community that just is kind of lost as to what our mission is. So we're actually transnational. We're global. There are Slut Walk chapters in Tehran, Australia.
Wow.
There's one in Israel.
Wow.
So yeah, it's something that's kind of bigger than just any one community.
Right.
It started in 2011. There was a press conference where a string of sexual assaults had happened on campus in Toronto, and an officer responding to that. Because we all know that cops are infallible. They never say or do anything
Never.
Absolutely
Absolutely
stupid.
Never.
But this guy,
this one guy, this like rogue,
this one guy, he came out and said that women wouldn't get raped if they didn't dress like sluts, and that kind of spurred this growing fervor that anybody who is an activist, anybody who's a survivor knows that sting of victim blaming. The onus should always be on the perpetrator.
Always.
Rapists are the ones that shouldn't rape,
right,
rather than women dressing however the hell we want to dress.
Right.
So it was such a spark that happened that just people in general said, we don't want to live in a society with that level of rape culture anymore. We want to hold rapists accountable. We want to prop up and empower survivors to let them know, like, this was absolutely not your fault. So that's what we do. Every year we have a march up to the Capitol where we encourage people to share their stories. We have survivors from the community speak. We have educators from the community speak. We carry signs, and some people go to the nines. They've got their fishnets on. They're like, thigh-high boots. And it is it is one of the most empowering movements I have had the privilege to ever be a part of. But yeah, I mean, I guess that the climate hasn't really changed that much in 10 years, is
Right.
that we still have police officers out there doing dumb things and causing movements to spring up. So
Right. Yeah. And you want to, excuse me, I'm so sorry. One of the things that I really appreciate about Slut Walk in general, but Slut Walk SLC, is that when I came here from LA, I hadn't even heard of like the Slut Walk, right? Like it was not something that was at the time on my radar. But I knew what like victim shaming was, right? And victim blaming was. And I came to Salt Lake City, and one of the first things that popped up like for me to attend was the Slut Walk. And I felt like, you know, I had gone to this kind of like small liberal arts Christian college, and I had experienced sexual assault there and rape, and I felt really shamed, and I felt really like alone about it because, you know, in that culture, I wasn't very supported, you know. But then I come all the way here to Salt Lake City and found the Slut Walk and walked and just felt so powerful and so supported and seen and understood. And like the fact that I could participate in something like that here was just like monumental for me and monumental for my growth. So I just wanted to say that, like, thank you, you know, for doing this work and being in the trenches with us, you know.
that makes my heart so happy. I mean, first off, I'm so sorry that happened to you, because that should never happen to anyone. I mean, every survivor has a story, not only that they were like first a victim of rape,
Right.
but then they were re-victimized by this culture and this system around it where
Right.
they couldn't talk about it.
Right.
So, I mean, I hope that that's the biggest thing that we're doing is like tearing down those barriers and really accepting and being all inclusive for anyone that feels like they haven't had a voice before. We want to let them know, like, with the army that we have, you know, there's strength in numbers. Like,
Yes.
you've got a voice within our ranks.
Yes. Yeah. And I thought that was so, I thought that like the power was just there. Like it was tangible to me. And then also the one thing that I love about Salt Lake City specifically, right, is that people are really great about getting their kids involved. And so going to like the first Slut Walk and seeing like babies with their little signs and like just, you know, like having these really empowering messages, it made me so hopeful that like that even though, you know, like you said, like 10 years later, here we are and we're still kind of dealing with these same things, but like we see like those babies were now they're here and they're in the streets and they're saying like this is not okay. And so like the work that you do really, I think, fosters that and creates a safe space for us.
So that's so
Thank
good
you.
to hear. Yeah, it's really a community effort.
Yeah.
The only thing that I do is I pay $6 so we can march up to the Capitol. That's about the extent. I couldn't do it without people being brave enough to show up and speak out too.
Yeah.
So really, like the community just really deserves a big thank you for being so supportive and for being so active in this matter, especially like the fact that we can teach kids the meaning of consent as children and hopefully prevent that next generation of perpetrators or that next generation of people who have those blurred lines when it comes to what they think consent is or what consent isn't.
Right. So with that being said, you said that you all are working on the event now.
Yeah, we are.
When can we?
So yeah, things are weird because of COVID. So our event this year is going to be online.
Okay.
We're just going to be streaming it live through Facebook. It'll be a similar format. We will have some survivors and educators speaking. We will hopefully share some additional stories and have a Q&A since we'll be in that format. And we're just asking people to either share what Slut Walk has meant to them, similar to your story, or what they kind of hope the future brings for survivors and activists alike. And hopefully we kind of get those same voices that we would have with our march and with our signs still represented in that new format.
Yeah, I know it's so weird now that like we're having to like move everything to the digital space, and things that like seem so obviously like those are for outside now. So, like people are being innovative and finding these ways. So I really hope, and I'll like blast it too, that people are sharing and interacting with the Oregon, with the event. One thing that I wanted to ask you, because I realized that like when I was kind of sharing my story, I talked about like this like unique space that I think Salt Lake City and Utah in general kind of like occupies. Are you from here? Is this your home?
Well, actually, I am from a tiny town about an hour north of here.
Wow.
Very much not like Salt Lake.
How tiny?
Very well. We are known for peaches.
Okay. Is it? Can I say it? Is it Brigham?
Yeah.
Okay,
so I'm actually from the small town next to Brigham City.
Okay.
That. Yeah, everything, all of our jobs, all of our schools and everything were in Brigham City. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm from this tiny, most people don't even know that though. So they're like, what is a Brigham City? And it's this big. So yeah, it's definitely a night and day difference based on just kind of the demographic. You're very isolated. You're very closed off up there, so you don't get marches, you don't get activism. I think the biggest protests we ever had in high school was, maybe 3 of us would just not show up to class to protest something. And I don't know if that really counts.
But it counts, I mean.
I don't know if our hearts were fully in it and just didn't want to go to class.
Right. That's always the question.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere, though, as a teenager, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm from Utah, so I have that fully ingrained Utah culture in me. But Salt Lake is such a cool, unique part of Utah. And I think that kind of, moving from a small town and coming to Salt Lake to go to college and then just staying has been an eye-opening experience. Like there were things that at 22 I was learning for the first time that you wouldn't typically experience in a small town. Learning that homelessness is an issue, learning that discrimination is an issue. Yeah, you don't get that when you're just around people exactly like you all the time in a tiny community.
Right. And so I guess that's a kind of a good segue. Like now, right? Like you, vibrant Rachel, like who does all of this amazing and powerful work. What's something now that that you wish you would have known then, or that maybe even someone from little tiny Peach City, Utah, who might come across this podcast, like that could help them?
The world is bigger than any of us really know. The world is bigger than Salt Lake. The world is bigger than Utah. There's so many experiences out there that you need to get out and talk to people, get to know people, get out of your comfort zones.
Yeah.
Just being willing to step out of those very safe, tight-knit situations that you're in. I feel like the more that people do that, I feel like the more understanding that we may be able to have just as people.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I feel like I need to write that down. The world is bigger than what any of us know. And that's so true. Like, because even myself, right? Like, I feel like sometimes I just take my experience for granted and I take it as like that's what it is, right? Like I am this Black woman from Los Angeles, California who knew a bunch of people and had a lot of experiences, but even that is just like a small fraction of it, right? And even all of the people I get to talk to through this through this project and through my daily life, it's just a small fraction of it. And I think that you're right. There's so much power and hope that comes when we get out of our comfort zones and start like kind of stepping across the borders to see each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Is that where your like amazing adventurous spirit comes from? Is that how you start like
I think that the amazing adventures just spirit that I've got came from really wanting to get out of that small town like my whole life. And I went from small town to slightly bigger town and to slightly bigger town. And who knows what's going to happen in the future. I love Salt Lake, but, you know, I've got my eyes on like more of a bigger prize eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think that maybe I'm just one of those people that it just is never satisfied with like a status quo. I love my routines and I love getting into like a good groove of being busy all the time, but I don't like being stagnant.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that, especially now, right? And these times, right, of COVID, like it seems like being stagnant is what's being asked of us in a lot of different ways. But I think that one thing that I hear you speaking to is like really important to kind of maybe fight against that, right? Like take the rest, take the routine, take the stability like that you can get, but also maybe jump onto a hoop and like get in the air.
Absolutely.
Or maybe go in front of a crowd and say some funny things, you know?
I encourage that. We need a lot more funny and active people in the world.
Yeah.
So all of the above.
Yeah, and in your comedy, what are some of the subjects that you kind of explore?
Well, it's a double-edged sword because
Okay.
a lot of people are either for or against the type of comedy I like to do.
Ooh.
So I really like to talk about feminist issues a lot. And obviously, if I've got women in the audience, they enjoy that. Not everybody is going to think that that's their cup of tea, which is fine because I'm not doing comedy for them.
Right, exactly.
I will
like that.
say, so I had this philosophy that came up a few years ago, and it was something that Samantha Bee, she's a comedian on, has her own show on TV,
Okay.
TBS, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She's one of my like big idols. Like she's a really strong, smart woman. She had talked about the inherent toxicity in comedy. It's very non-PC, which has got good aspects and bad aspects. It's very male-centric.
Right.
And she encouraged women to get out and do more comedy. And I think I was at a place in my comedy journey at that point where I was like, you know, I'm butting too many heads. I'm, you know, really upset sometimes with some of the jokes that are out there. And what she said was that you need to be out there for that one girl that just got off her job at the bank and needs to laugh. Like, you're there for her. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to stop with the feminist comedy. I'm not going to stop with, you know, joking about topics that girls aren't necessarily supposed to joke about. I'm not going to stop, you know, joking about uncomfortable topics that people don't normally want to talk about.
Right.
So, yeah, my comedy may not be for everybody, but at the same time, it is absolutely, definitely for some people that need to hear it.
Yes, and I love that. It's for the people that need to hear it, and it's also for the people that want to hear it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that one of the things that I love about comedians and stand-up comedians specifically, because I grew up, you know, listening to, you know, like all of the great comedians that people talk about, like, you know, like Richard Pryor and Red Fox and Eddie Murphy, you know, but like these comedians, although I think that a lot of what you're talking about is like very male centric, and there's kind of like a, oh, what's the word that I'm looking for? Tunnel vision. I also understand that, like, the comedy that happened, that I appreciate, and the things that I appreciate about these comedians is that they kind of push the envelope in social topics that we need to be talking about, right? Like, for those comedians, a lot of it was about race, right? And talking about the ways in which, like, non-white folks are, like, kind of subjugated, you know? And so I love that you use your platform to kind of talk about these issues. And like you said, like that woman who's just getting off of her job and she's so tired and like she just needs a laugh that day and needs to feel seen. Like, I think that that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really why, despite the fact that it can be so frustrating to not only just be a stand-up comic in general, because it is, you know, I've got this circus arts community that's just extremely supportive, and then you've got the comedy community that can be very trying at times.
Okay.
Even when I get frustrated, I realize, like, voices like mine are important out there, too important to get kind of marginalized and pushed out. Like, I could do easy comedy. I used to do easy comedy. Like, jokes are cheap. Jokes are easy. Anybody can come up with a joke. But I think my best sets I've ever done were when I was really mad and just really ready to get out there and push back against the things that were injustices, you know, sexism, rape culture, girl pockets. It's a big one I like to rally against.
Girl pockets, like in the
yes. And yeah,
that's
so
they're so tiny. First of all, I don't know. I don't want to hijack.
we could spend hours just talking about girl pockets, because if there was ever any like major injustice against women that has ever happened, it is the lack of pockets on clothing.
Yes,
because they don't want us to look lumpy. You know, you don't want to look lumpy, but nobody is thinking that my chapstick is cellulite. I just want to put things in my pockets on my body, carry things around with me.
I love that.
Look at every kangaroo and I am like immediately jealous.
You're right.
Why?
They've got it right there.
It's right there.
And like, not only can it carry a whole entire animal, like I'm sure if they had, many chapsticks they could keep them in.
It's the kangaroos with their like cell phone here, driver's license over here.
It's like a little divider. Pocket organizer.
Cup holder there.
For the kangaroo on the go.
I want to be a kangaroo on the go, though.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, because even when we do get pockets, like, are they even useful? Like, what can I put in a space this big?
Yeah, I've got a mask in my pocket, and it barely fits.
And that's it. Oh, God.
A mask.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I'm right here with you. So, I mean, if you need a writer, I got some. I'm just kidding.
Like, when we can do marches again,
right.
I mean, I think that this needs to be a break off, an offshoot. I think we need to rally against the injustice of not having pockets.
I think you're totally right. Switching gears to something a little bit more, I guess, serious. I don't know. I want to talk about, and if you're comfortable with it, I'd love to talk about your status with HIV.
Yes.
I think it's really important, because I appreciate that in the show notes that you kind of put that you're open about it.
Yeah.
Because I think that even in 2020, it's incredibly important that everybody get to know somebody. Do you know what I mean? Like, and please forgive me if I'm being, like, I don't want to be offensive, but everybody get to know somebody so we can break down the stigma, but then also so we can start getting access to, like, treatments and things that we need. Because if we're all kind of hiding people, right? Then I think people are kind of fooled into believing that people who are HIV positive don't exist.
Exactly. And I feel like when I made the decision to come out and be open about my status, it was a hard decision because I hadn't told some of my family, I hadn't told some of my friends, and I just kind of ripped off that Band-Aid. Found out also that is not a topic people like to hear about during stand-up. So
really?
It's, it's something that I felt was really important to use this tragic event that happened to me as something that could be positive for other people, because I personally didn't think that I knew anybody that had HIV.
Right.
I worked in healthcare all through college, and I thought that it was something that girls don't get. I thought that it was something that doesn't happen in Utah. I thought that this happened to people over there somewhere, out there somewhere, and never close to home. And I think that those are dangerous thoughts to have because of the stigma, because of the reality that this is still something that's out there, and because of I think, ignorance that people have to think that something like this could never happen to them, so they don't take precautions, or they don't think that they need to go get that test. And I think that kind of breaking down those misconceptions would benefit the whole community, especially right now that we are dealing with a pandemic with another type of virus.
Right.
There's some really parallel similarities that are happening that I can see with the stigma around HIV and the stigma around COVID.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you're right. Like, I think that one thing is important. If we can, like, and I hate this because I feel like it's almost working backwards, right? Like, COVID's here now, and everybody's, like, responding to COVID. And then I'm tempted to say, like, if we can figure out how to, one, destigmatize COVID, right? And two, handle it, and, like, right? Then, like, this could be a better implication for other viruses like HIV, you know? Especially because I think that what you're saying is so important, and I almost, like, I want to, like, go into my old school Black church and be like, say it again for the people in the back, you know? Like this can happen in Utah, right? And I think that it's important that people take precautions, but I also think that it's important that if it happens in Utah, right, to somebody, that person have a community and have a setting where they can feel safe to, if they, you know, like if they wanted to be out about it and to get like the support that they need, you know. Do you feel like when you first, I know you said it was a hard kind of decision, right? Like, do you feel like when you first, I don't know, would it be came out about it? Like,
yeah, I feel like that's, like
okay,
coming out about it.
Good, okay. Did you feel supported, or was that kind of like an uphill battle?
I was terrified as to what was going to happen. I did lose friends. I lost some of the support that I had in like the comedy community. I had people asking kind of inappropriate questions, just coming from a place of ignorance. But by and large, for the most part, I had so much support. I had people thanking me, saying like, I never knew these things. Thank you for educating me. I would have not been able to ever know this otherwise. You know, I had people come to me with their own fears about things like that. That other people in similar situations felt like they could never talk about it either.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it was more of a, for lack of a, you know, better word that's not going to create a pun, a positive experience.
Sorry.
Right?
Because you said pun, and I love pun.
Yeah, I love gallows humor, so like that's
okay.
This was not
I'm,
like the
trying
worst thing that ever could have happened, because now I just have a wealth of things I can joke about. But yeah, I honestly was surprised at how many people, first off, that didn't know anything about anything about HIV, coming to me and just giving me love and support and understanding.
That's so powerful if we can begin there, right? Like in so many of these issues, especially so many of the areas that you do a lot of work in, right? Like if we can begin there. And I'm not a person who wants to like love conquers all, bypass like really hard topics and really hard issues, you know what I mean? But I think that in so many of the things, like when there isn't understanding, like if we can start with love or respect, then we can get there.
I think if we start with a conversation, I think that there's so many uncomfortable topics that people don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
I'm still finding that I have those topics.
Yeah,
you know,
same.
as much as I'm in those activist realms, I'm like, yeah, this is a really hard one for me. And so, you know, everybody has a chance to learn always. So having conversations about the reality of people's existence. I mean, not even their traumas or their triumphs, like just the fact that, like, you know, somebody like me exists. Because I never thought that there were women out there, or that if there were, you must have done something to put this on yourself, right? Like nobody would have ever told me when I was 20 years old that, you know, all it would take is to have a boyfriend cheat on you, or a partner keep a secret from you for a long time, and that's all it takes. And so that's kind of a universal experience. I don't know anybody that you don't get into your 30s without being cheated on.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Like, Everybody has that story. So, I mean, there's that common ground right there. Like, nobody has to come to me and say, like, oh, I understand what you're going through because, you know, I had a virus too, or anything like that. Like, for them to just say, like, that is a bad situation that all of us have been in. It just happened to be that, you know, one-off chance that my outcome was different than somebody else's.
Right.
So I think that that's where we can really come together by having honest conversations.
Yeah. And I think you're right. The key there is honesty. Yeah, and I think also Salt Lake City is a great place to have those. And so is Mocha Dreams and Caffeine Mocha Talk and Caffeine Dreams. It's a great place to start having those conversations. And all of the work that you do and all that you put out into the community and the medicine that you make here in our neighborhoods. What's your vision for Salt Lake City?
Like we have a long way to go still. It's easy for like you and I, you know, we're in these communities that already have taken those first steps to fight for something that we believe in, or to have something we believe in.
Right.
I think some people are even just lacking that. I feel like the more that there is progress, the more that there is going to be backlash against that. And what I would hope for is that people don't give up.
Yeah.
What I would hope for is that as we go on, these communities grow stronger and stronger and stronger because somebody took the time to listen and educate and form a new opinion.
I love that. Don't give up.
Yeah, so anybody that's out there, like whether you're fighting for Black Lives Matter, whether you're fighting for Slut Walk, whether you're fighting for Girl Pockets, I mean, like it's every fight of something that is important that you believe in is worth the fight.
Yes.
So it's so easy to get disillusioned and fatigued and apathetic. Just keep doing the work to fight.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm over here like hard nodding my head. Yes, it's so easy. And I think that some of the things that we deal with involve, right, like looking at that big mountain and the top of the mountain that we have to climb, right? And like, yes, it's a constant and consistent climb, but on the way, there's like little checkpoints, right? Like on the way, there's little victories. And I think also if we can take the moments that we need to like celebrate in those little victories, then maybe the mountain doesn't seem as tall.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
One of the victories, I mean, we have you, right? Like we have you out there, like not giving up in the comedy scene, right? Saying these like really important things, representing in really important ways. The fact that Salt Lake City has a slut walk, these are victories, you know, and to the bigger mountain, right?
Yeah, and I can honestly say I'm sure there are people out there in all of the aspects of things that I do that really wish that I would quit. But yeah, I feel like anything that I have a passion about is again like bigger than me.
Yeah.
It's bigger than me that we have representation of women in comedy. It's bigger than me that we have this fight against rape culture. It's bigger than me that you know, I choke down my discomfort in wanting to talk about my health conditions. You know, like, I don't want to come across as like, I don't feel like I am anybody important, because anybody can do any of these things. It just takes one conversation, one step, one moment of acknowledging that you feel something for this topic, or this just general something to be passionate about, something to fight for. So just being honest with yourself that you don't, it's always easier to roll over, and you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to leave your house on a Saturday and walk a mile up to the Capitol. But these things are all bigger than all of us. So what it takes is for all of us to come together and become that. We become the mountain.
Yeah.
We're not trying to climb the mountain. We are the mountain.
We are the mountain. Yes. I can't snap. There we go. So that's your vision, right? That's your vision for Utah and Salt Lake City, and I'm assuming the world, the globe. Yeah. What about for you? What are your personal goals, visions?
It's probably the hardest question that you have even asked me.
I know.
Right now, I'm trying to just get through this pandemic with my sanity, like everybody else. I think that my goals, ultimately, like, I have started to realize that you can have hobbies, and you can have conversations, and you can have outings, and you can choose the places that you go to based on the things that you believe in. And it took me, until my mid-30s to really be like, hey, I'm really good at this one thing. Like, why don't I do a little bit more with this? Like, I have so many things that I'm passionate about. I got a film degree because I thought that was going to be my whole life. Yeah. And I will be the first to tell somebody that, like, you don't have to just care about one thing. Yeah. Obviously. So I would love to explore all of those areas that I never gave myself the opportunity to explore 10, 15 years ago. I am finding new things about myself all the time, that you're really good at researching this one thing, or you're really good at debating this one topic. So I'm kind of just hoping that I can grow in that way. Yeah. I have no major end goal, it's not like I want to, open a homeless puppy shelter in Italy. Like, I don't have like lofty goals like that, but I want to see where I can grow as a human, just because I'm now opening my eyes to the fact that you don't ever have to stop growing. Yeah, that's beautiful. You don't ever have to stop growing. Say it again for the people in the back. Yes. Some people take that first step to grow. Yeah. And then once you get there, keep doing it. Just keep doing it. You'd be surprised what happens. You'd be really surprised of the things that you're capable of doing if you just let yourself do it. Don't take that as like you do not go do illegal stuff, because you think that you're like, what if I stole this Ferrari though? I've always wanted one. No, don't do that. But maybe go take that pole dancing class. Go take that hoop class. Yeah. Go join a missing persons research project. There's so many out there. Go volunteer with homeless youth, or at the Pride Center. Right. Like, there's so many things that every single one of us can do, like, especially during the pandemic, because we're all stuck at home. Yeah. Take an online comedy class, like, just do something. Yes, do something. I love that. Like, that should be a shirt. You should make a shirt. Just make it anyway. I think that, like, I might be infringing slightly on Nike if I started that. Nah. They're litigious. They're very litigious. Okay, so do you have any projects that you're working on right now? Always. Yeah, so comedy is kind of on the back burner. I haven't been doing like Zoom comedy or anything like that, but I have been writing a lot more during the pandemic. So as I said, like, you know, find a missing persons project. There's a whole bunch of them. I started kind of on a whim doing this the very beginning of the pandemic, and that has become another big passion of mine, is that I'm combing through missing persons databases and putting puzzle pieces together, which is really, really cool and fun. Other projects, yeah, I mean, what are we all doing? Like, we're all learning how to bake bread.
All of us, yes.
We're all like detail cleaning our houses. Yes. I'm training my kitten how to play fetch.
Cute.
So the normal quarantine things. Yeah. But yeah, outside of that, I feel like this has been such a unique opportunity to kind of grow and kill off some of that feeling of like, but you know, I should be able to go to the bar. I should be able to do this. I have found a new sense of community. Like, I've got to know my neighbors for the first time in 13 years.
Wow.
Gardening. So yeah, Slut Walk is coming up.
Yes.
That's been kind of the biggest project I'm working on.
Yes.
Funny that I throw that out very last.
Good. Yeah,
But,
I was going to ask
hey,
you.
by the way, that is still coming up. So, yeah, I think that within that activism realm, a big thing right now is that we're all kind of learning how to talk to each other, becoming anti-racist, becoming more educated on how to share our platforms and share our passions with people. So, yeah, I think that, I mean, I feel like I'm really busy, but at the same time, I find lots of time to just binge watch Netflix too. So,
yeah, it's like
right there.
weird. It's like the weird time warp is. I understand completely. And then where can we find Slut Walk? Where can we find you? Where can we find your work?
I am wherever there is laughter of children, and no, I'm just kidding. I'm on Twitter. So I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Super Mochella.
Okay.
So you can find me. My Instagram is where you would find most of my aerial stuff. My Twitter is where you would find the jokes that don't usually make it into my routine that I'm just testing out.
Beautiful.
Slut Walk is on Facebook at Slut Walk SL, UT. So Slut Walk Slut. And all of our information about the event coming up is on there. Yeah, and then hopefully when this pandemic is over, you'll be able to see me around town again.
Yes.
I have absolutely no comedy to plug. I have nothing else. So come find me online. You know, follow me. Like, go like some of my tweets, and then I'll tweet more.
Okay, perfect.
How about that?
That's great. I think that's a perfect deal. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on and just being super open and sharing your ideas, sharing your work, sharing your thoughts and your wonderful personality. It's been like such a joy speaking with you.
Thank you.
We have a gift for you. So one of our sponsors, Black Cat Comics, helps us pick out these kind of personalized comic book choices. And so this one is called Bitch Planet.
I'm all for it. I am like on board more than you would ever know.
When I saw it, I was kind of like, I might need to stop in and see. But essentially what this is about these women who get sent to another planet because they're misbehaving, essentially. So they're like strong, misbehaving women who get sent away, and you know, that's like their story. So
I want to be able to sign up for that. I want to go be sent
go.
to my own planet.
I feel like there has to be like a Google Doc somewhere, right?
I want in on this. Like, get me out of here. Give me a whole bunch of other like cool ass women to hang out with. That sounds awesome to me.
Yeah, so we'd love for you to have that, and we'd love to hear kind of your thoughts on it a little bit later when
This
when
is so
you
cool.
explore. I know, isn't it super awesome?
I love it.
And so that's gonna. Oh yeah. Okay, that's gonna be our show today, and we'd love to thank our sponsors, Rusted Box Records, Watchtower Coffee and Comics for the wonderful drinks, and Black Cat Comics for the choices. So, and thank you so much, Rachel, for being here. You're so awesome. I'm gonna go fangirl over all of your social media, so just expect to see all of the likes and hearts pop
That's cool.
up.
I really need the validation, so thank you in advance.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thanks for having me.
I never know how to end because you're never like, end cut.
Thanks for listening to MOCHA Talk and Caffeine Dreams. Be sure to follow us online at MOCHA Talk Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, or on our website at mochatalkpodcast.com. Special thanks to our sponsors, Watchtower Coffee and Comics, Rusted Box Records, and Black Cat Comics. We'll see you on the next episode.